In this video, we're going to be looking at how to make a character profile. As per my previous video, developing and workshopping your character is one of the most important things you can do to get an audience invested in your story and just get them really interested in what your character has to say, the way they feel, and interested in your narrative world. One way which I do this, because I come from a theatre as well as a drama, writing and role-playing background, is I like to create character sheets, otherwise known as a character profile. Essentially, creating a character profile is just answering a bunch of questions about the character and filling those details in as you go along. Something that I did in my first subscriber episode, where I helped Anarchista develop the general idea of what an ancient warrior may be. So the way I like to do this, you can use a traditional character sheet. I'll link a Dungeons and Dragons one below if you're doing fantasy, for example, is to just break them down into slightly different sections. You could break them down into the basic traits, just general information about the character, their wants and desires, their motivation for continuing on this journey, their flaws, which at the end of the day are the details which just make them more human, more relatable. Their relationships and their connections to other characters. Special traits they have, unique skills, powers, magics, things like that. And other notes and ideas that you can kind of generally jot down as you go writing along. Just before we start, don't forget to hit that like button and comment down below if you'd like me to have a look at one of your character concepts and help you workshop it in a future video. Let's go. The basic traits. Just like any other RPG on the market, Vampire, Dungeons and Dragons, Call of Cthulhu, etc., these are just the general obvious details of the character which would be very clear to any other character. Things like this include their sex and their gender, their race, especially important if you're writing fantasy, their age relative to their race, their cultural background and whether or not this is connected to their race or not, and then other physical details such as their height, the colour of their eyes, how long is their hair, etc. You may think that going into very specific details about a character is a bad idea, and generally you don't want to focus too much on the details while you're writing. You just want to get the idea out on paper after all. But creating very specific details for a unique characters, not supporting ones so much, but the important ones anyway, is very important in making them instantly recognizable by the audience, whether it's a film or it's a book. And this was actually something that I watched in an interview with Jim Butcher a while ago. I'll try and find the link it below. But he said that he was told that choosing a character that with striking, odd details wouldn't work. That it would hurt the character of Dresden. However, they were wrong. In fact, those very specific details helped to sell that character and get his work published. It's because specific details, unique ones for that specific character, really make that character stand out in the audience's mind after all. You know, they won't forget this scruffy looking, duster coat wearing magician who is a bit of a womanizer and carries a hockey stick around as a magic wand. It creates a bit of a silhouette against the backdrop of the audience's mind. Wants and desires. We have covered this in my previous videos, but you need to think about what does your character want in the narrative. Every character wants something, every person in everyday life wants something out of a specific exchange, whether that's social, monetary, whatever it is, there'll be something of value there, something that they desire in that specific moment. Whether it's to get out of that moment, that's also a desire. And then when you know their desires, you can kind of figure out what they actually need in the narrative. So their needs are the most important. The desires are something that could create conflict, that could get in the way of their needs. Examples of wants and desires. They want to return home. They want to find that girl that they met at the party. They want to find that mythical treasure. They want to destroy the One Ring. They just want to be successful in their music career. You know, these are just very simple statements which you can ask a bunch of questions about later, which we'll do in this video. Examples of those questions: where are they now if they're not at home? What reason do they have for finding the girl? What party was it? How do they plan on finding the mythical treasure? Is it really mythical? Is there a bit of a backstory behind it? Why do they want to destroy the One Ring? Obvious. Does any part of them not want to destroy it? Again, obvious. And again, what kind of music do they want to play? And why aren't they successful now? Again, this is simple, but again, it'll open up an avenue of questions that you can discover later. Now the flaws. If you followed my channel for any amount of time now, you'll know that I think flaws are the most important detail of your characters. They make the characters human, they make them relatable, and it doesn't matter if they're an elf or a ghost or a vampire. Every flaw that character has is a quality which gives them the potential to change in the narrative, whether for better or for worse. And that helps to create dramatic tension, and that also helps to build the ebb and flow of your stories, the ups and downs. It also hooks your audience into wanting to know if they'll succumb to it, or if they'll get over that specific flaw too. Example flaws. They want to return home, but they hate their parents. They want that feeling of familiarity of being home, but they hate their family. You know, they want to find that girl, but they may be shy or awkward. Maybe they've already missed an opportunity to speak to her at the party. Or maybe they just don't know how to talk to people that they're attracted to. They want to find that mythical treasure and they really want to work with other people to get it. But deep down, they're really selfish and don't want to share that treasure when they find it. They want to destroy the One Ring, but they enjoy the mystique, power, status, and immortality that it brings to them. They want to be successful in their music career, but they find themselves constantly comparing themselves to other more successful musicians in their industry, and that might give them the imposter syndrome. Now, relationships. What other characters, antagonists, supporting characters, NPCs connect with the character, and are those relationships positive or negative? And regardless of if they're positive or negative, what conflict do those relationships bring? Examples. They have a negative relationship with their parents, but for whatever reason, they have a great relationship with their grandmother, causing tension within the family, and also giving them an impetus. For example, if they find out the grandmother is ill, maybe that's another reason why they want to return home. They may have friends who give them tips and some advice on how to speak to that girl, but ultimately they end up having a negative effect as they're not really communicating, as they're not really being themselves. You know, they help to build a crew of amazing, talented, magical adventurers, but they don't trust them deep down. Maybe there's something in their backstory which warrants that distrust of other adventurers. One of their best friends journeys to the end of the earth with them, but instead they choose to follow a nefarious character. A character that shows qualities that they may be redeemed, but ultimately they can't. And it's also a character that reflects that character's current position. Maybe they see something of themselves in that character because of using the One Ring. You know, they may have a great mentor helping them to chase that musical career, but their partner doesn't support them in chasing their dream. This may be made worse in the story when their mentor passes away. They have this void of inspiration, of motivation to continue on. What will they choose to do? Really, we're just entering territory now of creating synopses for these stories now. But remember, you're just trying to explore your own creative process. All you're trying to do really here is just try to figure out these details to give you other ideas, to help you write, to help you make every single moment of when you write a little bit more productive. All of these details may stay, they may go away, it doesn't matter. Special traits. Again, like I said, these are the magical skills, the unique abilities, the powers that the character has. Things that make them unique. Things that make them stand out in their stories. Whether these are present from the beginning or whether they discover these abilities, skills, magic, powers, or whatever they are during the story doesn't particularly matter unless it's very important to the story. What matters is that they are unique enough that they stand out for the audience. Examples, you know, they may have a unique charm that they discover when they run away from home. They're intrinsically good at speaking to people, which makes their journey back home relatively painless. However, they still do not know how to communicate to their parents. That may be the issue after all. You know, maybe they want to talk to that girl. Maybe being a secret superhero and being pulled into saving other people and helping other people ends up getting in the way when they do have that confidence to actually speak to her. Perhaps the girl knows. Perhaps she's also a super secret. Perhaps she's also a super secret superhero too. That was too many super secrets. They may have a unique skill for reading ancient maps, a lost knowledge of them. This leads others to believe that they could truly help them find the mythical treasure. Maybe they have a special connection somewhere in their backstory to these treasures. You know, they struggle with the corruption of the One Ring, but ultimately their goodness and the power of friendship allow them to defeat this evil corruption in the end. And their best friend, their relationship, enables them to succeed. Perhaps their skill in music was always there. Maybe it was their confidence that stood in the way. Maybe just them believing in themselves was the key to unlocking it. You know, these are just some basic ideas taken from probably just random ideas that are present quite often in popular culture. But hopefully you can start to see how workshopping and just asking a bunch of questions can truly help you get all these details for the character. You know, developing these ideas gives you more information about the world. It helps you create a believability in the human nature of the characters. It gives you potential dramatic tensions and conflicts you could explore in the story. It might make you think about themes and aspects of the real world that you could explore for your narrative. And most importantly, it helps you to develop three-dimensional, emotional human lives for the characters. I promise you, if you start putting in the groundwork and start doing this regularly, you'll find yourself a more productive writer, way more prolific than you would if you just didn't do things like this. And it'll make you a better storyteller overall. It'll help you get to know your world so well that the writing almost becomes the easiest part of it. And also remember, this is something I've always said, and it's also something that I've read in so many different articles, in so many different interviews with writers, that writing is in the rewriting. So So, I hope this video was interesting, educational, or at least a little bit entertaining for you. And I hope it warrants you clicking on that ever-elusive like button. Every like that I get truly does help me and give me more motivation to push out more content and try to improve the general look and feel of all of this. I'm trying to make them as professional as possible to just make them as easy as watched as possible, although I can't change this. And also, it helps me to build a community, and to be honest, this is the entire reason why I do this. I do this to try and help other writers, because other writers have helped me on my process. And please don't forget to subscribe, as I'm planning on producing a lot more content, which I hope is going to help you learn just small advice, small tips, which will help to improve your writing. I've said help far too many times in this video now. And please, comment down below, did you like this video? Didn't you like it? Do you think this is the problem? Also, please let me know if you've got a character idea you'd love me to help you out with. Otherwise, don't hesitate to ask any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.